Direct from the web, it's Billy Masters Live. And now, please welcome your host, Billy Masters.
All right, I'm here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Billy Masters Live. I am, of course, your host, Billy Masters. Today is, put it up, thank you, Tuesday, July 21st, 2020. This is our, I have to look, 33rd show. Oh my God, how time has flown during a pandemic. It is an airborne show like the pandemic. This is, so 33 divided by 2, carry the 4, square root. So this is like the 16th week of the pandemic, at least 16th week that we've been doing shows. Oh my God. And you can tell it's getting long because I have not cut the hair and the blonde is only on the tips now. So I don't want to cut anymore because I'm going to have to get highlights. You know, can I just tell you all something? I was thinking about this last night as I was taking my twice weekly bath, because you just figure, just jump in the shower and go. But I decided to just sort of take a bath and relax. And, you know, I realized that I do a lot of things basically for others. Like, oh, I'll do the hair, so I look good to others. I'll go and tan or lay on the sun and get some color for others. But you know what? Doing the hair, taking a bath, lying out in the sun, those things make me feel better. So, you know, do something to just make yourself feel better. That is my message of the day. Of course, you're watching this show. That should make you feel better. And, but who knows? Maybe by Thursday, I'll have short blonde hair and a tan. I may not. You know, I like to say I'm going to do these things. And then I figure, I could just lie in bed. So this shirt, I did do something. I cleaned out my closet because I'm here, as most of you know who've been following the show regularly. I'm not at my home in West Hollywood. I am at my parents' in a Boston suburb. And I'm here because, you know, they're old. They could drop dead at any minute. Someone's got to keep an eye on this inheritance. And if they fall and break their head and a lie and get the bottom of the stairs in a pool of blood, don't I want to be the one to find them? So I've been here since the pandemic began. And so I went through this closet, which is in my childhood room, and I found this shirt that I have not worn since college, and it is huge. It is so huge on me, but it is a very international shirt. It has all these different flags on it. You see on my right breast is the Albanian national flag, because I am an Albanian American. And then I don't know, there's other flags. I don't know. Is that Switzerland? I don't know. Anyway, and there's a very international show. And so I like to always begin the show with a personal anecdote from the past. And this is an international anecdote. You may not believe this. This is going to sound so strange. The first celebrity interview I ever did, and I wish I were in LA because I have the film in LA, was of Celia Cruz, the queen of salsa, la reina de la música salsa. I loved Celia Cruz. Oh my God, I cannot even tell you I would lose my mind over Celia Cruz. Bear in mind, little white boy in a Boston suburb doesn't speak a lick of English, Spanish. Although I did always watch La Movida at night, and now I watch Caso Cerrado. But now they have subtitles. Back then they didn't. So I wanted to interview Celia Cruz for a documentary which never got made. And she let me interview her with Tito Puente backstage at a concert in Boston. Oh, no. Before that, I went to see Celia Cruz for the first time at Carnegie Hall. It was a tribute to Latin music, and she was the final performer. Now I had this huge bouquet of flowers, again, like a crazy person. And I think to myself, in Carnegie Hall with millions of crazed Latins who Celia is like their idol, that I'm going to get anywhere near Celia Cruz. So in the middle of encore, which I think was Bembe Colora, which would always go on forever. We get out of the theater and we go outside by the stage entrance to Carnegie Hall. And there's a limo there. And out comes Celia Cruz, so God, screaming and yelling. And she gets into the limo and I said something about flowers. And she makes some sort of gestures, which I think mean, come into the limo, Chico. So I start to go into Celia Cruz limo. Oh, no, Chico, no, flowers. So I gave her the flowers. And that was my first introduction to Celia Cruz trying to get into her limo. But in Boston, I actually got to interview her and Tito Puente. And the way we would do it, she understood English perfectly. She lived in New York for like 40 years at that point. She understood it perfectly. She was very shy about speaking it, particularly on camera. And the only thing she would say is, my English is not so good looking, which of course always made me laugh. I would ask her the questions in English. She would answer in Spanish. Tito Puente would translate to me. It was this bizarre interview, but it's very funny. Someday I'll show it to you. Then the last time I saw her was at Mohegan Sun Casino in Foxborough, Connecticut. And I went backstage to see her beforehand, and she had on her regular hair, like normal, no wigs. And I wanted to get a photo with her. She's like, no, come back before the show and we'll take pictures. So I went backstage and she had her robe on and she was sitting in a chair. And I said, oh, let's get a picture of you playing the piano. She said, I know play piano, but she said she could fake it. So I took a picture of her faking playing the piano. And then she took off the robe. So she went from this to this. Boom! Asuga! And I just adore Celia Cruz. Anyway, it's a Latin kind of show. I got the Muy Internacional shirt. That's my story. My guest today is also a Latina with a little bit of a different background. One of my favorite people. I have known her for probably 25 years. And one of the first times I saw her on TV was on Comic Relief. And I just would like to show a little clip of her in action. Old clip. So just, we got all sorts of clips. Okay, here is the fabulous Marga Gomez at Comic Relief.
She's not heavy. She's my brother, Marga Gomez.
Thank you. I feel so unknown. All right. Well, let's see. I'm half Puerto Rican. Way in the back. Half Cuban. Right on. And half lesbian. Okay. Oh, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, ooh, that hair, those tits. She doesn't look Cuban. Bitter. I'm not a bitter person. I've seen bitter, evil people on the Phil Donahue show. There was a program devoted to white racists and their children. They breed. And one of the white racists really said this. Well, I think all the Puerto Ricans should go back to Mexico. Yes, buy me a ticket, you wizard, you. I mean, Mexico's a place I'd love to go. I'm always going places I don't want to go. I was in Salt Lake City, Utah. I was the only Latina there. It was not my town. I couldn't get a cappuccino anywhere. No, we don't serve Mexican food here. Really?
I just adore her. I think she's so funny. She is a stand-up. She is a writer. She's a performance artist. She's an actress. She is a Renaissance woman. And she is my guest, Miss Marga Gomez.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, Billy. Billy, I wish we had started with how I look now and then gone back.
You have to compare with that.
Well, yeah, because then it's like, oh, and look at what happened. Plus pandemic.
Oh, shut up.
Pandemic. No, you know what?
I love the hat.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so many things already. But the hat looks like a real hat, right?
It does.
Yeah. I live near a party store. And during the we are in the but as the pandemic started, like a few weeks in, my hair, which you might have seen it like very short, was going into the buzz cut, daddy look. And then it was out of control. I went into the party store and I bought party hats. So
was that like a costume hat?
Yes. I have a whole assortment of them, different colors. And I never was the kind of lesbian who wore a fedora, but it's different when it's a party hat. Look at that clip. If I can just say, I was actually, I know I said, hey, there's this clip, Billy, but I actually was terrified that you started to play it because my memory of it was completely different. I thought it was, I thought I was frozen. I thought I had a good time.
We never think as performers in the moment that's good. I'm always amazed when something goes wrong. I think it lasted forever and it is a blip. And then when I think something is going so slowly, I watch it back and it's so fast. So we're not judges of our own.
In the audience, it was a TV, it was comic relief. And I only knew playing in regular clubs, well, gay clubs, but regular setup and it's brightly lit. It's like you're at a 7-Eleven, and then for some reason I saw the one grouchy grump looking at me, and I was just and it made me more scared. But yeah.
But you don't look it. You look so poised, so fabulous. But who was on that bill? That was an amazing night.
Well, Comic Relief had basically every established, famous superstar comedian. It was hosted by Whoopi and Robin, who I knew, Billy Crystal, who I've never met. Robin, I grew up in New York, but lived, really got started in San Francisco, and that's how I got Comic Relief.
Was it through him?
I was hosting this benefit. And Robin was going to perform in it because he was one of the first, Liz Taylor, Robin Williams, the first people to just connect with the LGBT community and support. And this was when, it was the 80s, so AIDS was here. And so Robin was doing a lot. And I did this benefit at the Castro Theater in San Francisco, the huge palace.
Yeah, great.
And it was a benefit for Robin Jeffries. I think it was a Life and Times of Harvey Milk, but no, it was a celluloid closet.
Oh, sure. Vito Russo, sure.
Yeah. And so they had Lily Tomlin was there. I think Charles Bush was there. But something happened. Harvey said a joke. I think he was the host. He said a joke. And lesbians took it wrong. I know that never happens. And then I followed this incident, this kind of tension, and I said some quip. I broke the ice. After that, it was like I was Golden Girl, and Robin made a point to say hello and just give me props. And 3 months later, I'm on this show.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that fast.
Pretty much.
But aren't you like that when you see somebody new, that if somebody you've never heard of does something in the moment that impresses you, you make a note of who they are and try to remember them?
Yes, and that's why when I play and it's like, just some shithole, and you think it's like there's 3 people.
We apologize to all the venues who have booked Marga Gomez in the past.
Hey, shitholes, please,
I have played all
MargaGomez.com.
too. I know. I've said that, in New England, I've played every toilet there is. So, I know. And we say that with love.
No, I mean, I've had, some of my best shows at
Shithole.
dumps, at bowling alleys, but
I've
never
never
know.
done a bowling alley.
I played a bowling alley in El Paso. It was a lot of fun.
Well, if you're going to play a bowling alley.
They paid me with hot dogs, and I mean actual sabrettes.
And then what did they then bring you back to the wall and say, all right, we'll bring you home? And that was it?
It was a lesbian gig.
Oh, well, so, then
it was the height of I'm not, you know what, why am I making fun of lesbians? I really actually, I want to bust all those tropes about lesbians, except for one.
Except the true ones.
They hike too much outside. Every date, it's like we're hiking. Where the hell are we going? Can we call a lift?
And wasn't there something, I remember in your action, there was something about dildos and lesbians.
Oh, Billy.
Do you remember that?
That was when I was... Yeah, that's when I was living in LA. That was one of my favorite bits. I haven't...
Oh, I loved that.
I haven't done it. It's because, I was... So basically...
You were a whore.
I was trying. I was doing my best. But there was a thing with, when there was a new lady in my life, she expected me to buy a new dildo. And dildos are expensive. I'm not really dating like that at all, really, now. I mean, it's been a long time since I had any. Like, my legs have been together longer than Aerosmith. Thank you very much. Like, but it was always, so then I did a joke about, it's like, why do we have to buy these dildos? And then what do we do with them after when the relationship doesn't work out? And then we've just got a dildo pile because you can't recycle them.
And didn't you also say that you would try to wash them in the dishwasher? Was that part of that? Or was that somebody else's dildo gig? Everyone had dildo.
Some lesbians.
Yes.
This is true. And there's nothing, I think it's a good thing. They would use the spaghetti pot and boil them. They'd boil them in the spaghetti pot.
Well, I guess hygiene. Hygiene is very important.
Well, that's why I never have spaghetti at anybody's house. But, Billy, one more thing about dildos?
Yeah, please, of course. Never get tired of them.
Now, I don't know how much, and I hope I'm not too loud. My mic's
No,
not
you're
too
fine.
loud.
You're
Okay.
totally fine.
In San Francisco, we have a couple of very famous parks, but the one for like the millennials and and the gay boys is Dolores Park, right in the Mission. And about 5 or 4 years ago, they did a whole renovation of the park, right? They gutted it, they dug it up so they could have, jobs or, I don't know who they paid off, but it was like, I don't know, the park seemed fine to me. Okay, gonna make a new park. So they had to dig it up. And this is true. It's not just an urban myth. But those guys digging up that park found this dildo cemetery. They uncovered. And so I guess what happened was, I don't know how, but when breakups happened, the women would go and they would just bury the dildos in the
ceremonial burying of the dildo. I see, of course. It's like burning the pictures. It's like that. You can't burn a dildo.
You can't burn a dildo. You can't recycle it. You can only bury it.
You can't sell it on eBay.
No, but you know what I did when I was living in New York? I made a dildo puppet show, which it was my happiest time at a place called Meow Mix, lesbian bar called Meow Mix. It was legend. It was legend in the Lower East Side.
I don't know how I missed this. I haven't lived, apparently.
You know who came to it was Anthony Rapp.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because he was like, because we were all friends on AOL.
I was just going to say, so the people, we go back, oh God, like 25, 30 years. So AOL chat rooms for people who don't remember, for the children who don't remember.
Very clean, very legit.
This was like celebrity gossip and LGBT interests. And we met, was it through Rick McKay, or we just all met around the same time?
R.I.P. Yeah.
You know, our good friend Rick McKay, documentary filmmaker for Broadway, The Golden Age. Anthony Rapp was a kid about to do the first reading of Rent. I will never forget it. And we just, were you living in New York then?
No, I was living in L.A.
Oh, you were?
in West Hollywood. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it made us, because this is before really the internet, it made us all feel like we were really close to each other geographically, even though we were all over the world.
Yes.
And
But
now,
then
of
there
course, the internet is
Then we
out.
had fights.
Oh, yeah.
Scarlet Street fought with me,
Oh,
and
God. Yes.
then this lady just started like giving me death threats on our gay gossip thing. But you know, with Anthony, so you know, we had our. I mean, one of my best friends now I met through that chat
Oh,
room.
you did?
Yeah, Jackie. She just streamed into my show a couple of days ago, but and she's still in LA. I was so lonely in LA. This was during the Latin explosion, and you know, I had a manager. I had CAA was my agency, but I was getting no gigs. I was getting no. I wasn't meeting any women, and so that was my life to go on
Really?
that chat room. That was it was a very lonely time. You know, it was, you know, like many people who go to LA to, you know, to try to make it, you know, and you're just, you're displaced. But Anthony wound up, of course, the famous, oh God, I forget what the character was, but he was the filmmaker guy. He was basically Jonathan, playing Jonathan. And so there was the last show they had a dance theater workshop in the East Village, yeah, on East 4th Street. And I wanted to go. And so I wrote to him because I think it was sold out. And he just said, tell them, you know, I'll put your name at the door. So I got in to see the very last, and I wound up sitting on the aisle. There was no seats.
Right, the step, right.
And I saw Rent just before it went to Broadway.
Oh.
So amazing.
You know, when I see Anthony and we've chatted over the years, it's so amazing that we were sort of living vicariously through him through this time where he had auditioned, and I think it's going to be big, and we're sold out, and we might go to Broadway, and then Jonathan died. I mean, all this stuff we lived through. And I remember the big question he asked the group was, if I win the Tony, I really want to have a boyfriend that I can thank. And he wanted to be the first one to publicly thank a boyfriend at a Tony Awards. And he was just a kid. And of course, it didn't work out. But, you know, one of these days, Anthony.
Well, he and his boyfriend came to my my dildo puppet show. You know, we put so basically we get you know, Barbie clothes, and then my friend Denise made little costumes, and then you put googly eyes on them. And then I bought like an actual puppet. Oh no, my friend made a puppet show stage. My friend was actually a very famous a set decorator, art designer, photographer, and she works for all the fashionistas now. So it was kind of Gwen Turner was in the puppet show. I mean, we were all behind, and it was going really. I was getting very well known from my dildo puppet shows.
If you're going to be known for something, you're the dildo puppet woman.
Dildo puppet queen, and also my dildos came from, because it was like, I can't buy all these dildos for this you know, I'm not making any money, so people actually donated their used
all
dildos.
those lesbians, exactly.
So instead of burying it, give it to Marga.
Repurpose it.
And it was, I mean, the writing was really cute, and it was before South Park. And when I watch South Park, I go, that's my puppet show. That's exactly the way they talk to each other. But my dildo puppet show career ended when I was booked into the Jim Henson New York Puppet Festival.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
It was a mistake. It was not well received. And when I came out from behind the puppet show stage, like, I heard nothing, you know, to all these jokes that they loved at Meow Mix. I had stomach sweat. Like, I wore the wrong shirt.
Yeah.
And I came out to my bow. I had stomach sweat. And I
Yeah.
didn't even have the belly I have now, I was more
geez.
like that clip you showed. But my stomach expanded.
So basically, Ted Hardwick just wrote, I worked with Marga on Mambo Kings. Do you remember this? Do you remember Ted Hardwick? You may not.
Ted, I don't think I was in Mambo Kings. Maybe the King of Cuba. Was that?
Oh, maybe King of Cuba, Ted. Ted,
maybe
you'll
the
have
King
to
of
tell us.
Cuba. Yeah.
Well, you know who would know.
Maybe, yeah, it was so.
There's one person who knows, and he's my go-to when it comes for all things Latin. Our friend Dan Guerrero.
Gay Tito.
How are you?
Good one, Billy. Good one, Billy.
You know, so here's a picture of the two of you together. I'm not sure where. Where is that?
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago at the Valley Performing Arts Center in Northridge, where she was part of a whole night we did with Culture Clash about voting. This is just before the horrible last presidential election.
Jeez. That was Dia de los Muertos show, too.
Yes, that's right.
I had my Hello Dead Kitty for Dia de los Muertos.
Yes, I cut it, but you can see the top.
Yeah,
of it.
her eyes were all crossed out because she's dead.
You killed. We had Cristela Alonso and we had all kinds of people, but Marga, you killed. And I hate to tell you this, Billy Masters, because I know how you like to win, but I know this child 30 years.
Oh, God. All right, that's fine. Well, you were in New
I
York.
don't really like this particular competition right here.
Yeah, well,
No, you want to talk more about dildos. I can't remember ever following a dildo story in my entire career.
It wasn't just one dildo story.
Certainly not a dildo puppet show story.
Why do I look so red? And it's just natural light. I look so red.
Well, that's all right.
Where's your Gaetino makeup?
Yeah.
I know I should have done something, right?
You expect less red, more brown
I'm
from
probably
you.
flushed from all the dildo talk. Is taking me back.
So
I did not think we were going to go there, Billy. I did not.
You know, because we go back, so I'm going to bring things up. So how did you two meet? Do you remember, Marga? Dan?
It wasn't it a TV show we were doing?
No.
Some project. I thought George Lopez was involved.
George was there, but it was not a TV show. It was, I don't know if you can hear it. I'm here in WeHo, and the condo upstairs is doing construction. So
I've got
I thought it
construction
was
also.
flamenco dancing, you know.
Yeah. It was 1989, the first ever all Latino stand-up comedy night.
Oh, yes.
It was at the Los Angeles Theater Center as a fundraiser for the Latino Theater Company. And you were still up in the Bay Area, I'm pretty sure. Weren't you in 89?
Yes, probably, yes.
And it was the Day of the Dead theme. So we've gone full circle.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
But
George,
it felt like a TV.
because I was producing television at the time, so I was like using all my TV skills.
And for people who don't know, Dan Guerrero, he wrote and performed his one-man show, Gaetino, around the country. It's a film. Is it out yet, Danny?
I was doing the film festival circuit. I did about 8 of them. The last one being the Sedona International Film Festival.
Right, Laney, you saw Laney.
I had 4 more coming up, and I had submitted to others when everything happened.
And I was at the taping of the show. I've seen it now through every incarnation. It's fabulous. And you're also a big Latin activist and really promoter. I'd say an unofficial ambassador for the culture, a cultural ambassador.
I like that. I'm going to add that to my resume, cultural ambassador. You know what I really think of myself as a connector. I love connecting people, you know. And our Latino community, we pretty much all know each other, right, Marga? I mean,
because of you, Dan, and also you're also Latino art royalty as well.
Yes, say who your father is, Danny.
My dad was known as the father of Chicano music, the first Chicano ever to receive the National Medal of Arts at the White House.
Wow.
That was with the Clinton administration.
Lalo Guerrero.
I doubt he'd get one from Trump, who has no culture, so it doesn't really matter.
Geez.
But
I'm trying to think of, you gave me some advice. Oh, I know. So I think it was the last time I don't know if that was the last time I saw you was when I did Latin Standards
Yes,
at LATC, and we took some shots there.
Yes.
But you were the one who taught me about that filtering app on the phone.
Oh, Facetune.
He showed me too. Yeah.
That I got from Mark Sandroff. It works great, right? Doesn't it?
It works great, but it's an app that takes your money and then suddenly freezes, and then you have to pay for it again. So it's like, no, I'm just going to put on more makeup.
It's much cheaper.
Much cheaper, yeah.
Danny, how are you doing during the pandemic? Are you okay? I haven't talked to you in a while.
I'm doing really well because out here in Hollywood, everything is going development and pitch meetings and Zoom, because when they do figure out how to film and how to do TV, they want to hit the ground running.
Right.
So it's amazing. My writer friends, they're doing 5 pitch meetings a week on Zoom, and it's a lot. There's a lot going on, and even film festivals, the ones who had to obviously cancel them, they're now talking about doing them online, and then the Q&A with the filmmaker online, and people can write in like we're doing here. It's a reinvention of the entire world, but in terms of our world of entertainment and live events, it's a complete reinvention. And those that figure it out are going to fly high, because this is a game changer forever. Think of the money that's being saved, and especially when you're in LA. No, I'm serious. The upfronts. You think they're going to do upfronts now? They're going to gather all those damn affiliates all over the country and put them on Zoom. They're not going to house them in New York and do a big show at the Radio City Music Hall. No. This is a game changer for sure. And
Marga and I were talking right before the show, and we were talking about how we've all really had to learn this new technology, new cameras. Marga, I was telling her how great she looked. She's like, I have a new camera, I've got lights, she's got everything.
Yeah, I set up this microphone thing, and I can't stop. And there's people who are, they're sort of hobbyists, but they're going crazy with these platforms, the Ecamm and all that. And right now I'm doing a solo piece, which I think Herbert might be bringing to San Diego Rep. I think.
Right, that's what he is.
It's San Diego Rep that he's with, right? I better get that right, or I won't be there. But anyway. So I'm learning ways of actually even performing for the camera. I mean, right now I sort of set it up and I got the screen there, and so I'm a little bit,
Right. Well, we're all making it up as we go along.
But Marga, Billy, our friend Matt Berman. Matt?
Yep.
Matt Berman, Marga. Well, when I was doing Gaytino in New York during APAP, he's a brilliant lighting. He does everything. And he was doing Liza at the Palace, and then running down to the Zipper Theater to do Gaytino. Now, that was pretty cool. Anyway, Matt, of course, there's no touring, a live thing, so he is now, and supposedly it's cost friendly, I don't know, but he is showing people how to really light themselves and, to perfection. He's got a whole new little side careers creating, he's created during this pandemic.
Yeah, I think my sideline, besides doing the show Spanking Machine, which I think I'm the last 2 shows for Dixon Place. Yeah, that's a plug.
Yes, this weekend, Spanking Machine. This is the old ad.
Oh, it's the Brava. That's a great theater.
No, no.
No, that's an old ad.
DixonPlace.org. That's when I was going to have a run at Brava in March, and the opening was March 13th. So guess who just got to final dress rehearsal?
Yeah, right.
But Dixon Place commissioned it, and so fortunately for my landlady, they honored the commission, and we're just going virtual. And so I'm discovering that it's not just a default, like, oh, a show is going to be live, now it's going to be on Zoom. It can actually be a lot of discoveries.
Yes.
You know, in the honesty, and you can't hide behind your chops as a stage performer. You really have to talk to people, right?
Yes. And you know what? Obviously, you cannot duplicate the live experience, but it brings something different to it. My director, Linda Mendoza, who directed the Gaetino film, she says when she first saw the play, she could totally see it cinematically. And the way she put it, you'll understand this, when you're watching it on stage, everything is a wide shot. Everything's a wide shot.
Yes, yes.
Whereas, they're the moment, a quiet moment. Now the camera goes right there. And so people who have seen the play and the film, they actually get a lot more from the film version. I mean, it's complicated,
It is. It's like film acting. It's like film acting meets puppet show.
Yeah, without the dildos.
Well, yeah, but I was actually talking to Monica Palacios because she watched the live stream, and we're just talking about what's the placement on Zoom, and then I said it's like a puppet show, and then we really enjoy that. So there's just I also watched an interview with Bill Irwin,
love
who
Bill.
is just starting to use his genius to do Zoom acting on-screen acting, and you just have basically this, and then you go back,
Right.
and then you go in,
And you create your own Zooms.
Yeah.
And by the way, just to show people the performance this weekend is this. And this is the information for Marga Gomez's Spanking Machine, Dixon Place virtual.
Wait, so we can go and we can see it online. Fantastic.
You can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
me
her website, get all the information at margagomez.com.
Oh, thanks. Billy, I had no idea you were going to open with the Celia Cruz and Tito Puente story.
Well,
And
I always think of what's appropriate for the show, and that one made sense.
had I known,
I sent you a couple of Celia pictures.
You did text them to me.
I also have actually, because my father was an impresario in New York, so he presented shows. That's what Latin Standards is about,
Right.
And so he presented Celia Cruz and Tito Puente, and and all of them, Cantinflas. So I have a 8x10.
Talk more about your background, which is fascinating. Your family background, because I saw Latin Standards, and it was superb. It really was, and your background is so fascinating.
Well, since we're talking about it, let me show a clip from Latin Standards.
Oh,
see, look, you just led right into it,
Boom,
Danny.
boom.
What a coinky dink! What a coinky!
God, I'm so
Exactly.
happy you're here, Dan. Oh, my
Okay,
God.
here's a
Thank you,
clip of
Billy.
Latin Marga Gomez in Latin Standards, talking about her mother and her father.
My mother would often say, Marga, and el último escalón was about me. I was the one walking up the stairs. But everybody feels bad for your father. Anybody can write a song, Marga. Anybody can. I can write a song about your father. I could. I would call that song Another Flat Tire. Being a good Cubano papa, my father felt that it was his duty to introduce me to caffeine. Un cuchara. Taste it, please. Just try it for daddy. For your daddy, please taste it. Marga, please. For me, just taste it. Just a little taste. Just a little taste. Ha ha ha! What do you think? Oh, yeah. At first, it tastes bad, but then you will love it. Qué rico. Sabroso. Marga, who made that cafe? Who made that cafe? Who made that cafe, Marga? My daddy, a.k.a. Willie Chevalier, made the cafe. My my daddy, the #1 comico and the #1 producer in New York. And my daddy, the composer of many Latino Billboard hits.
Marga Gomez in Latin standards.
Bravo.
Muchas gracias, gracias.
So now the two of you both have a father who is involved in music. And I know from many friends in the Latin community that musicians in their homes were deified. These people who were performers and presenters, everybody knew them. They were like the Don Franciscos of the world, were huge. So Marga, how did it manifest itself for you growing up with such a big figure?
Well, I think of both my parents. My mother was also very like ahead of her time. She was a dancer, but she was, she really made her own money. So that was a big thing,
Wow.
in my generation. But she was more traditional. She remarried, but my father was always chasing that show business high, and there was a time, when he got to New York, and he jumped on the stage at Teatro Hispano, which was like really its heyday, 40s and 50s, and he just started performing, and people loved him, and that's how he got gigs, because he didn't have any connections coming from Cuba, and then he became an MC and a comedian, and the musicians would come to our house. They would practice. Oh my, what's this? Uh-oh.
I just gave you a little bit. Oh, there you see. We have some green screen action going on.
I don't know how that
Marga.
happened.
I don't know.
That's okay. You know what? This is about the real. So if you want to see the painter's tape holding up the green screen,
Yeah, exactly.
Please do.
That's all right.
But
Continue with the story.
The thing about the musicians is that his song "En el último escalón," which is a lot of his songs were about breakups. The theme was the woman is cruel, the man good. They went to #1 on the Latino music charts, and my father's great pride was that it was licensed by Muzak as elevator music.
Yeah, that's money.
But the musicians would always they would have the rehearsal before the Friday, Saturday, Sunday shows. In our house, we had this 3-story house in Washington Heights, and they'd just be there. And some of the musicians who were famous in the community, also, they didn't always make that much money because things weren't fair distribution wise. So they had they had day jobs, but they were stars, but they might be working in a factory, during the daytime. And then some were just international stars. That's what my father did as an impresario with his partner, Charlie, and this lady, Margarita Otero. She had all the contacts from stars of Mexico, and she foolishly shared them with my father and his partner, and then they kicked her out, and then they just brought all the talent in,
Right, they cut out the middleman.
Vicente Fernandez, all the big stars. And then there was this time my father got this guy who was, I don't remember the name of the star that he looked just like from the Mexican movies, because that was our Hollywood. That's where all the big, and this guy looked just like that star. So my father said, and this was when, later in life when he had to be a little bit more of a scammer. He told this guy, I'm going to say let's say Vicente Fernandez, okay? And you're just going to walk on and you're just going to bow. But then the guy started talking and they knew he wasn't, and then it was a scandal.
Danny, I'm going to put you backstage because I've got so many guests here, but stay around because we might all be able to chat together again.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Danny, I love you. Thank you for doing this. Marga, I want to talk about you and I. I think of you as a performance artist, really, that you create theater pieces, but it really must have started with stand-up, I assume. Or did it start with writing?
It really, it started, I think, with writing, because with my parents, they were always creating. They were doing shows. My father also wrote comedy sketches that were in his variety shows. They were in between
Sure.
the two big Mexican movies, right? There'd be an orchestra like Tito Puente, then the comedy sketch. And so I definitely I was definitely emulating my father because my mother was a dancer and I still dance terrible. So, so I started like, writing my own like silly little plays in school. And when I went into college, I pursued creative writing and also thinking that that's what I would do because I didn't think I'd be a performer because by the time I was in college, I realized there was a mainstream that was not the same as my parents' milieu. It was
Right,
a
sure.
mainstream where you didn't see people of color and you didn't see masculine, boyish boyish presenting women. So I thought, well, I'll just write stuff. And then I just happened to land in San Francisco and the comedy boom of the 80s was happening.
Right.
So that's kind of like I didn't really know which way I was going. And so I always feel like I say, comedy is my day job, but it's really become more weighted towards creating these solo pieces because I feel that that's what people, though it's not as big of an audience as stand-up comedy, it's
Sure.
my audience.
Right.
So I feel like this is what I can really share. This would be like my legacy would be the solo shows. Jokes sometimes they're fun, but they don't help you through life.
Yeah, for people who don't know the difference, because a lot of comedians tour and they tour under the name of a show as if it's a solo show, but they're really doing stand-up comedy.
Ooh.
Solo shows have an arc, they have a storyline, they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. People like you, I'm trying to think of people who do. Christopher Titus is a friend of mine. He
love
does,
Christopher.
yeah, Christopher does great solo shows. But they're not set up punchline. You know what I mean? There are jokes in them. They're really funny, but you also come out having learned something and feeling something. There is a connection that's a little different.
I think there was, and when I started doing solo shows, I had this sort of legendary or notorious manager, Irene Pinn. She used to be Lily Tomlin's manager, Andrew Dice Clay, Sandra Bernhardt's manager. She's passed away, but she basically took me from my first solo show to several more. And in the 90s, that's when this form got a lot more attention. And then a lot of comedians, it's true, they didn't put that arc together. They didn't really have a story. Basically, it was an excuse to tell the same jokes every night and give it a title.
Right, exactly.
But then there were hybrids. I mean, I still feel like I'm a hybrid. I'll use jokes in the stories to get me from a transition from one scene to another. And I think Chris, also, I mean, why not? The
And
audience
Lily
loves it.
again is a perfect example where she can do stand-up, has done stand-up, but they are mostly theater shows.
And people also, they identify comedy now as the setup punch. But I think, a few generations ago, it was a comedian it wasn't necessarily going to be that form. It was
Right.
just someone who, was going to make you smile and laugh, maybe not twice per minute, like laughs per minute, but it's basically a comedic performer. And now everyone's very, rigid about what, there's different delivery systems for it.
Yeah, comedy is a very broad banner, and you look at people like Stiller and Mira or Elaine May and Mike Nichols. Those were really sort of a hybrid as well because they're theater pieces, but they're comedic theater pieces.
Yeah, and stand up is, and it should be the short form. I have, when Spanking Machine, the run is over, I'm still going to continue playing with it, because there's certain things I want to try. But my intention is to go back and do more stand up, because I think it's harder now because it's so depressing. But if we don't keep our, take care of our stand up comics, then, we're going to be sadder.
Well, I think they're also our social commentators. They always
Yes.
are. And, the freedom in stand up is whatever, it's immediate. Whatever happens today can be in the show tonight. And you can't really do that in a structured show. You can tweak it, but it's much more frozen in script form. Tell me about Spanking Machine. Tell us what it's about.
Well, thanks for asking, because I just realized I don't want to mislead people that it's just a comedy.
Right.
It's comedic, but it's also the underside of anybody's life. Spanking Machine was really not going to happen. After I did Latin Standards, that was I said that was the premise of Latin Standards. This is my final farewell concert, and then I got an email out of the blue from someone that I used to go to Catholic school with in Washington Heights, and I adored this boy until we had a falling out, which is part of the story. I thought he was dead. He's gay, and he just disappeared. From he wasn't on social media, so I just thought that he passed from AIDS in the 80s. That was my guess, because so many people that I cared about I lost in the 80s, and
Sure.
and I was, I kind of wanted to, even though we had a falling out, I kind of wanted to reconnect, but there was no way to find him. He had no footprint in the internet. And then in 2018, I get this email to my website, and it's him. And I wasn't thinking about a show, but then I started telling my friend, who's this amazing author, Christina Garcia, about our adventures when we were kids. And she said, "That's your next play." And I said, no, I'm not doing any more solo shows. I'm going to write for more characters. I'm going to do stand-up. I went to visit him. And when I came back, I got a call from Syracuse Stage. They had this festival where they had a spot for a solo performer. And I said, well, there is this story I might write. And that's where Spanking Machine happened. So it's about all the kitschy childhood stuff, lemonade stands and little horrible. We did it's not, I'd say it's like we're not like terrorists. We just did little terrible things. We were terribilists. People come up from the subway and we'd have water guns and squirt them. And we would go to the shopping center and we would walk up the down escalator so people could follow and fall. We'd make prank phone calls. So, and I cherish those memories. We were just angry little only children. And then what happened was I thought it was going to be this funny little campy show. And then I started remembering me at that age growing up and times when I was in danger from sexual assault. And so that is in the piece. And some people, they just, overall, they're cool with it, but they don't expect that, because I'm identified as a comedian.
Sure.
But it's everything, and the humor comes back to get through these events, these traumatic events, and the story is about this reunion that he and I have. And then it's, sort of a tapestry, but there is a full arc. There is something I want to do. I want to have a real moment apart from the jokes. And I don't want to give too much away, but does that sort of sound like?
Yeah. Well, we have a clip. So why don't you set up the clip? What is the clip that we have?
Oh, the clip. Okay. It's the show is about a lot about what happened in third grade when Scotty was the name he went by because his real name Agamemnon sounded too Cuban, and so he did something wrong, and so the nun sent him to the spanking machine, which was something that none of us ever saw, but we were all threatened, and this was the first time any of the kids was actually taken by the nun to go to the spanking machine, and I think that kind of sets it up.
Cool. Okay, here's Marga Gomez in Spanking Machine.
Agamemnon! Agamemnon! Is the spanking machine like sister said? Agamemnon! Agamemnon, here! Agamemnon! Is it like a chair? Is the spanking machine like a chair? Like, do they strap you in? Agamemnon! How fast does it go? How fast does it go? Or is it slow? Is it slow? Agamemnon! Does the spanking machine have sticks? Or little hands? Agamemnon, I thought I heard the spanking machine once. Does it go like this? Whoosh, whoosh. Or does it go like t? Hey, Agamemnon, does the spanking machine make copies too? He waved them off and he said, I can't talk to you about the spanking machine today. You don't want to see it. You don't want to know. And my name isn't Agamemnon, it's Scotty. And then he looked over their heads and he saw me, the tallest girl in 3rd grade. I had a growth spurt that year. At the rate I was growing, I would have been 6 feet tall by graduation with a basketball scholarship. But I was worried that I would get too tall to get a husband. So I willed myself to stop growing. I'm the same height now as I was in 3rd grade. That was the night before Shelter in Place got called.
Was that March 12th?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all the people in the theater, like 10 people, weren't supposed to be there.
Socially distanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they did. I told them, can you please spread out at least?
Well, we have another guest backstage who has a little bit experience in solo shows, both funny solo shows as well as very emotional with an arc. Coming to us from the East Coast, Mr. David Drake is here.
I can't. This is like, oh my God, whose birthday party is this? David's?
Apparently it's yours.
And I can tell the audience out there that she sold out the Provincetown Theater when she was here last year. And if you bring Spanking Machine here next year, you'll definitely sell out again.
Oh, I'm in.
Well, we'll talk afterwards.
This is a contract. This constitutes a contract, Billy.
Exactly. I'm a witness.
Contract. Well, my board will be happy.
So for people who don't know, David Drake is artistic director of the Provincetown Theater. Provincetowntheater.com or .org?
Org.
Okay, thank you. And they had been doing virtual programming. They just recently had a benefit for the theater company, which was an all-star performance of David Drake's The Night Larry Kramer Kissed Me. An all-star cast. Was that the 25th anniversary?
The 20th.
20th. All right, well, so we can do the 20th.
It was Broadway Cares benefit that we had done in 2013 for the 20th anniversary.
So now we've repurposed it as a benefit for your theater.
Right. It was in honor of Larry Kramer's death. It was in honor of gay pride. It was in honor of activism and where activism is moving right now. It was a way of congealing a lot of queer energy together for this virtual gay pride that we did, and also raising needed money for our institution. So it was we had a great turnout for it. We made money, and we had our largest audience yet. We had twice what we had for the last show, and so we had 5. So it was great. And Broadway Cares, gave us that for archival for a one-night presentation.
That's Tom Viola, correct?
Correct. Yeah, yeah. He was one of the original producers of The Night Larry Kramer Kissed Me.
Was it footage from your original performance
No.
of it?
It was a benefit that we did at John Jay College where I adapted the play, the solo play, for 12 actors.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
And
missed that.
Wasn't Anthony in it? Now that I think of it.
Anthony Rapp was in it. And because I knew Anthony Rapp too, before he did the great after we did the workshop of Rent, when talking about Anthony during the Rent moment between the workshop and the production, that's when I knew Anthony.
There's a small little gay community with we all go back the same amount of time, like 30 years.
That's what I love about this show, Billy, because it really is kind of our class. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I said last week, I said, because we, gay people, you're not born into gay, you find each other. It's not a history that's passed down. It's an oral history. For some, it's a rectal history, but mostly it's an oral history.
Did you say rectal history?
Not for me. I just
well, no, that's true. No, get rid of those.
I have no. I one time with a finger. This lady came over to my birthday party. Wasn't even invited. I just said hi, and then she came up. This is a Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and then suddenly she's the last guest, and she just slips her finger up there, and I'm very. It's just like I'd like to meet your parents first.
So speaking of meeting, how did you two meet?
Actually, I think we actually first met at that photo shoot.
Yes, for Vogue.
I met Marga at a photo shoot for Vogue magazine.
What was this photo shoot?
Solo performers.
You tell
in New
them,
York.
Marga.
So it's about solo performers. And so David had
they were
his
doing
show running. What's that?
You were doing
Memory Tricks.
Memory Tricks. You were doing Memory Tricks. And the third reel was John Leguizamo.
Oh, sure.
And Marga and I came with like a suitcase with our stuff, like in it, like in a knapsack. And John Leguizamo came with an entourage. Remember that? There were like 9 people there, including Santiago. I'll never forget his name. Santiago.
I loved him. I know. I just that was my impetus to succeed was so that I could get Santiago for me.
I remember you getting his card because it was like the two of you were Latin talking together, and it was like, oh, there's making connections here, Santiago.
Yeah, but and David was I was the least famous. But it was, the three of us. And then when the article came out and I was telling everybody, I'm going to be in Vogue. I'm going to be in Vogue. And then it was just, look, grateful, but the picture was, come on, it was little. You couldn't get a smaller picture.
Yeah, they were tiny. There were 3 pictures. But it was a famous photographer, Timothy Greenfield Saunders.
Timothy Greenfield Saunders. And he actually, I follow him on Instagram. And he... And I don't know exactly how I found it, but he had another photo from that shoot that was like super sexy. They wound up putting the photo of me in a t-shirt and jeans, but I had all these other cooler Vogue outfits on. And so I didn't even know more, but Timothy put that on his Instagram. So
I gotta go follow that. Yeah, he took beautiful portraits. Beautiful.
Oh yeah, and he was the one who said, no, don't smile. I just like, it's like, he says, no, please, just want to see you. No smile. It's like, I couldn't, maybe that's why I got the little picture. I couldn't know what no smile meant.
Just like this.
Neutral.
We are right here. That's
all right, let's do it. Timothy Greenfield right now. 1, 2, David?
Yeah.
We're going to do for Timothy Greenfield.
Okay.
Click.
It looks like you're in a hostage video.
I know, it's very hard. I go the opposite of smiling. I can't.
But I'd love to have a picture of the 3 of us. You took pictures of the 3 of us too, and I never got a copy already.
All right, Timothy Greenfield, whatever the hell your name is, or Santiago.
Okay, that's not the way to get it.
Yeah,
Billy.
This is why I'm broadcasting from my parents' room, and you two are living the life.
But then we met in San Francisco. We were on a comedy special together, and they cut my part out because I wasn't funny. And they remember that Comedy Central special?
Comedy. Oh, yes. Yes.
With Leah and you. There was a whole bunch of people
It was called Out There.
out there. That's
Yeah,
right.
that was my
Oh.
first TV credit.
That's-
Yeah, they
and
did
I
a whole
think-
bunch
I
of
think
us.
that's available online, like Amazon Prime or someplace, because I've seen it recently.
It's out there. I mean, like, every now and then, like, I know that you get way more letters, David Drake, and it's wonderful. But every now and then I get that experience of an out. I hate the word trailblazer, but I can't. A mentory kind of person of young people who saw the video. Like they'll say, "I saw you on Out There,"
Oh, that is
and then they write to you and say how it made them feel better and all
And
that.
and inspired them. I can say, we've said this on
Oh,
the
yeah.
show before, this is how David and I met. I sent David a fan letter after seeing him because he was just inspired me. And
Yeah.
it inspired me, even from afar. Before you see somebody, you can hear about the trajectory of a career, and it lets somebody know, oh, this is possible.
This is possible. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like what your dad was doing. I mean, we did, just so everybody knows for sure. Marga was at the Province. I'm at the Provincetown Theater right now in my office, and she did bring her show up here because I love that show, Latin Standard, so much. And she hadn't been up here in many years. And I was like, we have to bring her back. And our audience is flipped for her. And our board flipped for her. So, yeah, there's an open invitation for you anytime. Definitely.
And David
We
Schweitzer.
will definitely talk the next week.
Okay, yeah.
And David Schweitzer, is he directing Spanking Machine?
No, actually, thanks. No, this piece, Spanking Machine, is directed by Adrian Alea, and I asked Adrian to be my director and dramaturg. He's a young queer Latinx director, and I wanted to hear, get his voice in here because this is a
Yeah.
story about queer Latinx youth.
Sure.
But David has been just lovely, supportive. Watched he tuned into the Dixon Place stream and gave me some kudos and a couple of ideas to think about.
David
but
blows away.
but
He's a
Provincetown with David with David Schweitzer it's pretty amazing. And then I posted with me and my two Davids in the lobby of the.
I saw that. I love that. Yeah.
People are flipping out over it. Yeah, such a
And
great.
the lady of the lobby. That's good. That's good. I mean, we've all been looking at that idea of like, well, how do we become more authentic with our work, and what does that mean? Like what levels of that is happening? I gave a play that I wrote with Miguel Angelo. I wrote it for him, and we developed it together. But I basically did all the writing, and I was directing it, and I couldn't do both. But I said, get somebody else and get somebody Latin, and they did, and they have. It's going to be in Dixon Place in the fall. No. It was going to be in the Dixon Place. There's that new queer theater, that Adam. Oh, I can't think of his name.
We're in New York.
Yeah, it's called the National
Henry
Queer
Adams?
Theater, and it's run by a Latin guy, Adam Odessa something. It's
Oh,
a-
I should get that
yeah,
name from you when
should.
you.
He was
when it
going
comes
to
to
the
you.
residency in June for at Dixon Place, but they did some of their stuff online, but not all of it. But you should. We should know you.
Yeah. Oh no, I'd love
You're
to.
our kids. They're
But-
like our kids.
But I do want to say also, it wasn't, I think it was sort of like because Latinx, yes, but also because he was his age too, because this is
Right.
Spanking Machine is about sort of this childhood thing, and I just felt he was kind of had that vibe. I mean, he's
Right.
a really experienced director and all that, but for me, over
Right.
in my 60s, won't say how much into my 60s, it's just like, yeah, maybe this would be the time. But
Right.
David Schweitzer, he knows Latino theater. He worked with Taylor Negron. He worked with Latin standards. He's an ethnical chameleon.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's a master at what he does. He's a master director. And there's that too. It's interesting when we look at these things. It doesn't feel like I'm inauthentic as a director with like Miguel's work or Welcome to La Misa, baby. But I definitely, it needs to go deeper in a way that I can't get to those roots. I don't know where they're located, you know? I know where the theatrical ones are located, but I'm interested in, because, you know, I've realized, and I don't know if this is true for you, Marga, like I just rewatched Do the Right Thing.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Right.
I watched I think rewatched it about 3 years ago, and it's like, oh,
up to the minute.
I
That
know.
the ending is like the George Floyd moment.
Yeah.
So there is a timelessness in this, sadly, historically, that it plays like a spell. I mean, the whole movie does. But in the movie, there's all different kinds of rhythms. It's Spike Lee, his debut. Underneath really tense scenes, it's like this, like dun, 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 dun. They're living their lives in a different parallel than my white life. You know, and I thought it was really interesting because point of view, and that's where you come in. Your point of view, the window you look out of, the eyeballs you look out of, have all kinds of things that we all want to see, and you're going to help us see them, and you do help us see them with your shows, and they are theater shows, and also those organic places like being a comedian or where do you come from? It's like, well, you come through that door into the house, you know. So they're so valuable because we live in different rhythms in parallel. You know, and that's where I think we're looking as activists, systemic problems.
You totally explained that better than I tried to. I was like fumbling, but yeah, it is like there are people who have a certain kind of humor, and no matter what happens to them, they're never going to be able to change those eyeballs. I also wanted to just tell you that you totally, I have gone to Provincetown, and I was afraid to go again because things never worked out for me. You know, I wasn't somebody I felt that they wanted to see in Provincetown when I was doing my stand-up and all that. You had to give out the cards on Commercial Street. And
she did not have to bark when she was here. I
didn't have to bark.
Well, I always said that I would never go back to Provincetown again as a performer unless I was big enough to have someone else barker for me, because it's awful.
I don't mind it. I like it, but
I always feel like you're giving away your show on the street because it's how you get them in.
Yeah, you're giving away your soul too. Like
well, there's that.
I would give out the cards, and then one time I tried to give out the cards in the beach, and I went all in drag as my character Filomena Pinta. This was, back like in the '90s, and I'm in my muumuu and my wig, and they didn't want to see me, but what I realized I couldn't bark anymore in Provincetown because giving out my cards, just take it. Nobody wants to take the card, and for me, anyways, and then. And I would say, give the card, and I'd be real friendly. And then one of my people, but one of my more mainstream lesbians would go, no, I'm all set. That's what I would call, I'm all set. I'm all set. And I say, well, fuck you. And it's like, I can't. They're going to come to the show and boo. I can't be the person.
I'm all set.
I'm all set.
David, I have to put you backstage because I've got another guest I got to get on, but stick around. We might be able to all talk again.
Okay.
All right, thank you, David. Thank you.
Oh, gosh, this is really, bye, David. Oh, I love you. I love you, David. I love you, Dan, Billy.
Okay.
This is the sweetest.
Well, we're not done, Marga. I have another friend.
Am I getting a cake?
No, there's no. The best people should know before we started, Marga asked if she had time to go get a cup of coffee. I said, sure. She said, do you want anything?
The lady in red.
Oh, I know you're so color coordinated. Anyway, our next guest.
Not wearing pants.
I actually don't know your connection, but I know that you're friends. I'm not sure if you've worked together, but I guess we'll find out in a minute. A lot of you will know him from Avenue Q. It's Jeffrey Whitty.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Jeff.
What's going on?
How are you,
I'm just a fangirl. That's me.
Oh, I'm not a fangirl, and I swear to God, I saw you in Provincetown. What year was that?
Oh, well, that was probably one of the sad years. Could have been the year that I was fucking the Peachy Puff girl. It could have been the year that
that's unforgettable. So
hearing impaired person was my sound person, and erased my tape. Oh yeah, could have been. Could have been the time I slept with the producer and then was
we've all
shunned,
done that.
like the Scarlet Letter. Jeffrey Whitty, oh my gosh, I can't tell
Jeffrey
you.
Whitty from Avenue Q and many other things, including something upcoming that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Oscar nominated. I don't know
Yes.
if did it win.
the most hilarious. Yes.
With the worst. Well, no, it was. Oh God, it's got a long title. It's a sentence.
Can you ever forgive me?
Can you ever forgive me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Which is a fabulous movie. If you
I saw it in the movie theater.
So did I.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yes, I love Rascals, and a rascally lesbian lead was just what I
Mary
knew that there would
McCarthy.
be like a niche for it. I read it and I was like, everyone feels like this woman on some level,
And
So,
the anxiety, the anxiety that she was going through, and that she
And the
just kept
desperation.
doing it. Oh God, I mean, I don't, everybody, please, if you do one thing after you see me at Dixon Place this weekend, please stream, rent, buy Can You Ever Forgive Me? It's really, it's
Moving.
a queer story. It's
Moving,
a story
though.
for artists, and it's my
And
story.
of misfits finding each other, which is what I loved about it.
Misfits,
Because
absolutely.
these people who would never really find each other, who actually had an adversarial relationship at first, really formed like a little family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think my favorite lesbian character I've ever seen in a film.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, because she's an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yes,
mean,
she is.
yeah.
I mean,
No.
she's
You root for her to get away with it, don't you? I did.
Oh yeah.
Well, and what's wonderful about the whole crime, the heist of it, is that it was a victimless crime so long as nobody caught on at the
Right.
beginning.
Kind of
crime,
victimless. I
because
mean,
to own one of those forgeries,
Uh-huh.
it would bring in way more money than the original Dorothy Parker letter or whatever she was
oh my,
forging.
good point.
Yeah.
So
Even
everyone
these people had bragging points of look what I have. And almost, it's funny. I have a friend that is a collector of autographs. And I say, well, what are you going to do with it? And you're like, well, I'm just going to have it on the wall. So I'm thinking to myself, well, it might be real, it might not be, but sitting on your wall, I don't know if that matters if it makes you happy.
I actually used to be a forgerer as a child. I used to forge my mother's signature on my bad report cards. And then after a while, I couldn't ever give her a report card because I had to match the signature. And then it had been like pretty much, I forget when we got report cards, maybe 3 times a year, twice a year. But she hadn't seen a report card in a couple of years. And then she was like, what about the report card? Oh, they're not doing that, Mom. And then she found out, I think when she took me to the dentist, that there had been report cards all this time and that I was forging. And she was pregnant at the time. And I remember she got so upset. She did a whole Latina mother thing. She was pregnant. And she just got on the floor and just started wailing and then gave me the silent treatment for like a week. Could never be. I mean, a week wasn't long enough. It was the best week of my life. She didn't talk to me. Yeah.
Jeffrey, now we live very close to each other in West Hollywood. How are you doing during the pandemic? Because I've been following your posts, and you've been really up and down because people aren't necessarily following the rules constantly around you.
Oh, I've got to say, I'm pretty proud of my neighborhood. you know, my favorite place. I love that Dialogue Cafe. Do you know where that is?
Yeah.
Oh, the Italian family there is so funny. We carry on, you know, and they've found a way to make their business work. My coffee bean, my barber, I had to take a few days off, and he'll be back. You know, I worry about the small businesses. I'm blessed to be on that strip of Sunset with the Viper Room and the liquor stores, and it feels very mom and pop, New York City. I hope everybody
near there, right? Too, right?
The what?
The Chateau's near there, isn't it?
Yeah, the Chateau's like a few blocks down.
Oh, okay. Really specific. Yeah. Okay.
And Jeff, you're working on something now that we can't talk about, but
we'll talk about it a little.
Well, as a writer, you're still able to work during this time, and that's something Marga and I were talking about. Is that, and even Danny for a little bit, that people behind the scenes, this can be a very good time in terms of creativity and productivity.
Oh, you know, I'm, you know, I've been knocking stuff out because I know that everyone's going to come out of their lair with, you know, a ton of material. So, yeah, you know, I had very good luck with my first musical and very good luck with my first movie. So now I'm moving to television because I'm just going to do one in every genre. That's what I've decided.
Well, because second ones have always been so great. For a lot.
Yes. So the TV show will be a lot of fun. It's something I've been thinking about for 15 years.
I'm sorry. What's it called?
The title is Bad Fairy.
Bad Fairy?
Yes, it's a TV show, a TV series.
Okay.
And it's not that he's evil. It's just good fairies are always out for you. They're kind of boring at parties. They age and become cynical. But a bad fairy is a rascal, so he looks out for himself first and then you. And so it's another sort of entry in my genre of gay rascal characters, because I think we've been helping straight people and putting on dresses a little too much. I want to see the character that's a shit stirrer. So it's I've been thinking about him for 15 years. The gay that nobody wants in their parade, and yeah, I guess I can give away
another kind of outsider who is sort of an anti-hero.
Well, he is, except that he is heroic. He has ethics. But I mean, I'll give you the hook. He's a drug-dealing, middle-aged gay prostitute who lives in New Orleans.
I dated him.
Yes.
We've all dated him.
And so it's this, you know, and I'll be playing him, and he's, you know, so he's my age. He would be 49, still plying the trade, aging out of it, and the whole thing. It's really, really fun, and it's also sort of about the gay generation gap, and the experience of being, you know, the bridge generation, where, you know, I'm having my first wet dream at the same time I'm learning about the gay cancer. Literally, like, you know, so you're coming into your sexuality, in, you know, for me it was in Coos Bay, Oregon, with no resources at all, nothing. I have a scene in Bad Fairy that's a flashback where he goes to look up homosexuality in the card catalog in the 80s. There was no information. So it's also about that experience of being AIDS in the internet, you know, and then suddenly everyone can be gay. I swear to God, they need to put a velvet rope up, like bring the bouncer back. It's too easy to be gay these days.
Oh, Jeff, can I just jump in here? And also for the women who've had like maybe licked pussy once, like just one, like, that's it. I'm a ally. I'm bi now. I'm pan. It's like, no, you need to go down on a woman 20 times, or I am not having you.
Yeah, have a litmus test.
They're all
Can I tell you my story about?
No, not fair, not right.
I ate pussy for the first time about 4 years ago.
Oh, see, I didn't show was
You know
going
what?
in,
I'm
correct?
kind of, because I haven't. No, wait. No, 3 years ago. It's been a long time for Marga, and it's probably this is gonna be it. It's a lot of. I don't think my vibrator can make it till 2021. That's all.
No, I think my hymen grew back. I'm pretty sure.
Well, listen, I have follow-up questions. What was the situation? Was prostitute drug dealer?
This is what is funny about it.
Did she pay you?
Oh, I love that was the assumption. I was like, well, of course she would think. No. It was I was at this club, the Spotlight, which I don't know if they still do it, but once a month downtown, you get an email early in the day that they're at such and such warehouse. It was a really wonderful, really fun party, and I wore lingerie. As it just seemed like the night for that. So I'm there, and this cute like alpha guy comes up, like maybe a few inches shorter than me, Australian, and he's like, "You sit down there. I want to talk to you." And I was like, "Well, all right then." So we sit down and we're talking, and about 3 minutes in, his eyes were so beautiful, and I was going, "He's trans." Just at the moment that he said, "I'm trans," and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like I was a little drunk, but I've always wanted to experience a vagina, but I had to say that I was gay in 1992, and so I was sort of stuck on this binary. And anyway, one thing led to another, and I was called up to. His name was Lucky. Called up to Lucky's hotel room, and I did just fine. Thank you very much.
Wow.
And then I called my friend the next day, and I was like, I'm no longer a blue ribbon gay or whatever, the gold star gay.
Gold star, yeah.
And he was like, no, textually, to be politically correct, Jeff, you actually are. You have still never slept with a woman. So.
No, but I could just see that if you called somebody up and say, "Guess what I did last night?" I wouldn't have been able to guess. I never would have guessed.
I laughed. No, it was. I don't even know why I'm telling this story.
Because I asked. Because
these are the stories that show up on Billy Masters Live.
This is a great one. Yes. No, really, really fun. At the very beginning, I said, "Okay, I'm going to be like a fifth grader on a field trip. I want to ask a lot of questions." So it was really yes.
Did they come?
Yeah. Oh, yes, he did. Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
so he was good at it. So there you go.
Oh, no, he was great.
Well,
and then,
Jeffrey, you're good at everything you do. If you just put your
I would
tongue to
agree
it.
with that.
Come over. Who knows what'll happen?
All
Either
right.
anybody, anyone,
anybody. Jeez, you make me feel so special. Thanks.
No, but what was so cute about Lucky is he came and then he immediately rolled over and fell asleep.
So he still had the guy. He had the guy thing down pat.
Oh no, I was laughing so hard. I was so cute.
Jeffrey, I'm just curious. Where are you? That looks amazing. That looks like a theater where you are.
Yeah, where are you, Jeffrey?
This is the it's tied in with this thing. The Bad Fairy thing. This is the outside of the mine shaft.
Oh, it's green screen.
Oh, yes. All right. So
no,
if I was wondering why I felt this need to pee. Now I know.
Yes, I've been in the water sports tub. This is me in the water sports tub right now.
I've been in those clubs when you go in a room and there's a tub. It's a little scary. It really is.
I was like, "Hi, Billy. Just don't."
That's where I know you from.
Guys have everything.
And here I thought it was the Tony Awards. Oh, Jesus. Jeffrey, I love that you decided to come on. Is this the first time you're actually meeting?
We've talked to each other online. Not Grindr, but we've talked to each other online. And but yeah, and actually I guess we're still online, but I feel like we're getting almost to real life now, Jeffrey.
I know it's really exciting. We're gonna knock boots before long.
We have mutual friends in New York.
Oh, tons! I want to get my ass back to New York. Yes.
Well, since we're getting to the point to almost wrapping, let's bring Dan Guerrero back. Hello, Danny. All right. David
Hi,
Drake
Dan.
David Drake Danny, Jeffrey Whitty.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hi,
I
Dan.
don't think you've met before either, have you?
No, but I certainly know of him. So this
Well,
is festive. Very festive.
And David Drake had to go on another Zoom meeting, so better people. But I have one more clip of Marga that is one of my favorite clips, and I don't know, it probably is very telling about me, but I just want to show this. So Marga, one more clip of Marga Gomez in action, and you'll tell us what this show was from, because I have no idea. You didn't approve this clip.
Oh, okay.
So here we go.
I wanted to get back in touch with my Cuban heritage, and I wanted to go back to the old country where all the Cubans are, Miami. And I finally made a trip there last year, and it was amazing. It was amazing for me, Marga Gomez, to be in Miami. It was like a homecoming. People started coming up to me, strangers, and making me feel like family. They were all coming out, running out of their houses and saying, "You're back. You've returned. You've grown. You're almost a man. Elian has returned.
Love that clip.
Billy, that was so random.
Well, because I sit down when I'm going to do these, and I watched hours of clips of you, and that one just made me laugh out loud. What was that from?
That was just stand up
See?
at it was the Purple Onion, the legendary in San Francisco.
Oh, sure.
The real spot. Then they tried to put the Purple Onion in another location, and they actually were able to buy the sign from the guy who ran it, Mario. But this was the basement that Lenny was in, and Joan was in,
Wow.
Phyllis was in.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did. It was just stand up, but it's funny because that YouTube clip. Sometimes I don't post on YouTube because I feel so bad when the haters come on, and they tend to really show up to put down women.
Yes.
And they'll just say anything. And so there were some hateful comments in there, and so I, and that sort of thing. And it shouldn't. I should just post more on YouTube. But they sometimes they just threaten your life for no reason. And I mean, they're living. No offense, Billy, but they're living in their parents' basement.
Thank you so much. Jeffrey, do you have any experience with people threatening your life?
Is that a leading question? How do I even put this?
The word is yes. The word you're looking for is yes.
Yes, and threatening my sense of safety, and let's see, how can I do it with the agreement that I must not disclose? I wrote the masterpiece of my career, and it was stolen by my lawyer agent.
Yes.
And I'll not name any celebrity names that were involved. And
but doesn't she have a candle that smells like her vagina?
Oh no!
Yes, I've retitled it "Wishful Thinking." That candle doesn't smell anything like.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Now you know.
Oh, it's been it was horrible, and the behavior was so unethical that, and it's the kind of thing where, having abused you, they have to abuse you further.
Yeah.
And it was like the more I tried to get away from them, I quit the show. I said, they kept coming at me, and the behavior got so bad that yes, they sent people after me to stalk and harass me over the course of about 2 years. There are companies that do it, that silence whistleblowers, which is what I was. So it was the most difficult thing.
Companies.
Yeah, but Jeffrey has written about it. And
I read the
somewhat. It was pretty intense, and I think
anxiety.
at some point, certainly when we're sitting down not on camera, I want to hear more, because a lot of the people involved I know Danny knows as well. Danny's sitting here trying to figure out exactly what we're talking about.
When the broadcast ends, maybe we could.
Yeah, exactly.
Fill it in. Yeah.
But it was awful, and and just to say to anyone, gaslighting is designed to disconnect you from your sense of reality. You know, if someone says ever, this is to anyone, if anyone ever says they're being stalked and you're hearing, oh no, they're just crazy, really, really talk to the person, because you don't just come out of nowhere and start saying I'm being stalked. And I fell completely apart and pulled myself together slowly by degrees, but it's really scary. You could read about Reddit with the Susan Fowler, who's the Uber whistleblower, had a similar thing happen to her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the third client of my psychiatrist to be dealing with what he calls predatory gang stalking at the hands of the entertainment industry. I was like this, but I have photos. I have a lot of documentation, thankfully, and one. That's all I'll say. But it's all.
And let me just say, sometimes when you call someone a stalker, they're just a fan or want to have a conversation, and you know who you are. But that's all.
Yeah,
that isn't systematic. That's not systematic stalking.
Strangers coming up to me with great knowledge of my life, delivering threats to shut up, like that kind of shit.
That's stalking, yes.
Yes, and I'm the last person to ever seek attention. I didn't talk about it.
That.
You know, I really am not.
It's not even like stalking, though, because these people actually have been hired.
Right. It's harassment.
It's
hired harassment.
And intimidation. But let's go to cheerier subjects to end.
Please.
I'm
ready to flash my fucking wrist, for God's sake.
I used to have stalkers, and then they kind of dropped me. And
isn't that sad?
It is. Not to take away from you, Jeffrey. I think I wrote to you. I was brokenhearted. And I'm really glad that you spoke out.
But you know, if you were a hot Australian stalking you, all right, that's another story.
Yeah. Well, that's lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Danny,
yes.
Danny, what do you have coming up? What are you working on?
I have a Christmas feature that somebody very big is attached to.
Oh, great.
My dad wrote a song back in the 50s that is played to this day, Poncho Claus.
And you wrote a book about it.
And then I had Bob Mackey, my darling Bob, did the illustrations. And the book was just to get Poncho Claus out there. So it's really my dad's lyrics, and then Bob did the illustrations. So now I've teamed with a friend who's a very well-known TV writer. It's a television film; it's not theatrical. And so we've come up with a storyline, and somebody's attached to it. And so I guess if they ever make a film again, maybe we'll get it done, And then I'm doing my Zoom series for La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. You're on my short list, girl, Marga.
Oh, wonderful. Also, I'm sorry, I probably should know this, but is Gay Tino on Netflix, or is there any way to...
No, in fact, I have a distributor interested, but my cross to bear is the music clearance, which is all cleared for the stage, and then it was cleared for film festivals. But now, a distributor, now it could be anywhere, Netflix, all that, and it's, I've got Sondheim songs, I've got, all my jazz songs I own with my brother, but... I have a lot of Broadway things in.
Okay. Yeah.
Even though it's 30 seconds or a minute, they don't give a shit, and it may wind up being prohibitive. I knew it would be expensive, but it might be too expensive. So I have no idea what's going to happen there. But so I'm just back on the film festival circuit. I have one coming up that I cannot talk about because I can't until the press release comes out. But it's very big and very exciting. And then a couple more film festivals that were canceled. They're now going to do them online. So,
you know what's cool though? Also, they have screenings at drive-ins.
Yeah.
This particular festival is looking at a combo. Some films will be screened online. Some will be, in safe venues.
Yes.
You know, so we'll see what happens. But Jeffrey, you were talking about not knowing anything about being gay in the 80s. You should have been in East LA in the 50s when I realized I was gay. Talk about nothing being out there. I'm going to be 80 this October.
No.
80.
Wow.
And I live to tell the tale.
Yeah. And to write a show about it and share that with people, which is great.
And we're giving Dan a hard time because you're a little red today. Oh my God,
You
gorgeous,
look
gorgeous.
Oh, man. So somebody once said, "Is that your hair?" I'm like, well, whose the fuck hair would it be?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I can see when they ask you about the teeth, which are also all mine, but the hair, I mean, come on.
At least that's all yours too. Jeffrey, you're working obviously on television, and people can, when theater starts up again, I assume Avenue Q will be around all over the world still.
Yes. I really want to give it a revision.
Do you really?
Oh God, no! I have the funniest ideas. Like, you know, like Lucy the Slut is a Kardashian. Like that kind of, like things to really bring it. Not that Kardashians are modern, but I mean, just like there's a whole new angle to take on it that I would love to look at. So,
and I think also with the sensitivity of racial profiling and the issues in the world, I think your musical is really very relevant.
yeah, no, that everyone's a little bit racist is still appropriate. People debate it lately, but it's funny still. Yeah.
And of course, Marga Gomez can be seen Spanking Machine this weekend. What nights? Friday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday will be the last performance, but I also recommend, and you can get tickets at DixonPlace.org. Half the money they make from tickets will go to organizations that empower Black lives, and it's part of Hotfest, Dixon Place, Hotfest 2020 at Dixon Place. So there's all these wonderful performers who are bringing their content on via Zoom, via YouTube, and a lot of exciting shows besides mine. But see mine.
I can't wait.
And them.
And of course, for all things Marga Gomez, you can go to margagomez.com.
Wow.
I can't thank you enough, Marga, for doing this. This is really, I think, our first time like doing something together.
I was fangirling, Billy, because I saw a show a couple of weeks ago with a dear friend of mine, Ari Gold, and I'd also been admiring your broadcasts over the last few weeks, but then I just kind of went nuts, you know, in the comments.
Yes, you were commenting on everything.
Yeah.
And no, well, I think that, you know, Danny knows because we've talked about this, is that when you're a writer, people think that that's all you do. And Danny had been this, that when he went to do his show, Gaetino, people like, oh, how's that going to be? How can he perform? Because they know you as a producer or a writer. You and I knew each other as performers, but you had never seen me. You only knew me really through writing.
Yeah.
Well, and plus my performing years were in New York in the 60s. You know, I lived in New York all during the 60s, 70s, moved back to LA in the early 80s. And so everybody out here knew me as a producer, television producer, and all that. And in fact, it was a big thing because when I decided to write the show, I was like, I don't know, my late 60s, never written a play. I had not performed on stage in 35 years. So it made perfect sense. And in a way, I was embarrassed because I could hear everyone going, "What the fuck? He's a producer. Everyone wants to be on the stage." You know, it was a really difficult transition for me to you know. And so for a long while, there were two things. There was producer, director Dan Guerrero, and then there was Gaty. They were separate, and then eventually they merged into what you see before you, whatever it is, you know.
Well,
it was a very tricky, slippery slope.
It's funny, those critical voices, right? The critical voices.
And the doubters, the people. I mean, I bet it wasn't a big transition for you, but it's a transition in perception. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Whitty, please, I urge you, go to Facebook, check out his feed, because he started out as a performer. He's been sharing some fabulous clips.
All right, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey,
I'm going to start stalking you. I'm going to start stalking you.
Oh, just wait. No, it's Charles Beaumont, the assistant hotel manager on As the World Turns, has a surprise in the next installment. I'll put it up a little later today. The
Look,
plot.
I grew up in a CBS family, so we watched all the CBS. So I remember Molly going. Oh, please, and it was a.
Oh, Billy, you know, I was on Guiding Light. Is that CBS?
Yeah, yes. What were you?
I was on one episode. I was prisoner number 3.
Oh, I remember.
I remember
And, my
that.
thing was to pass a rusty nail down to prisoner number 2, number 1, who stabbed the attorney.
And who is the star in jail?
I don't know.
Oh, there you go.
I just
Marga learned her lines and got a check. That's all.
Yeah.
I will remind everyone, last chance. Spanking Machine, don't forget, this weekend, Friday and Saturday. I know, no, it's the other way, Marga. There, I know this is so funky. I know. Spanking Machine, Dixon Place, and again, go to dixonplace.org. Get your tickets. Marga, thank you for doing this. I adore you. Jeffrey, you know I love you as well. And Danny, my vacation mate, who we're not going to be in Provincetown this summer. Marilyn is going, so I might go down to see Marilyn.
This was like my birthday. I just, thank you. I can't believe it. I'm so glad I woke up.
Guys, hang out. I'm going to say goodbye to each of you, but hang on backstage and then we'll talk again afterwards. But Danny, thank you so much for doing this. I love you. Jeffrey, thank you. I'll see you soon when I get back to LA.
Yes.
Definitely. And of course, the fabulous Marga Gomez, who I can now say I've collaborated with, and I've enjoyed every second of it. Now we're 45. My God. You didn't think that this was what you were signing on for. What did you?
I just figured you're going to cancel it at, any day. It's like, well, what are we going to do with Marga? So.
Yeah, no. I just love you, and I'm so glad we got to do this. This was so much fun.
I love you too, and I'm so proud of what you're doing. This is a really good broadcast.
Thank you, sweetheart. And not just the one with you, all of them.
I said, yeah. Yes. These are some really good broadcasts,
this one
Billy.
in particular is really good.
And I just love your story, your origin story, and Celia Cruz.
I know. Who would think? I know.
Yeah.
Marga,
all right, Albania.
Thank you, Marga. Thank you. We will see you again soon. Just hang up backstage for a second.
Absolutely.
And everyone, thank you for watching Billy Masters Live. On Thursday, we have Beth Lapidus from Uncabaret and some other special guests who, of course, I never really know who's going to be here. Anyone's willing to drop in. Please stay safe, take care of yourselves, and just remember, if we're here, we're live. Bye, guys. See you Thursday.